You have entered the Arcade Cafe. And today in the cafe, I'm drinking an El Frutero from Aslan, of course.
Sounds fancy.
You know, even though I don't work there anymore, I still have that gift card with the free money. They gave us a free $1 for every hour we worked.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm still trying to spend that, so I just keep going there. It's right next to the new coffee shop I work at, so
Nice.
I've just been spending it on beer every time I am down there. And as much as that place is a little bit poopy to work at, the beer is fantastic.
I can attest to that. The beers you brought over were pretty good.
Yeah, we just had another one from, it was an IPA, a double IPA, and I don't usually like IPAs anymore in general, but it was, I forget what it was called. I think it was I forget what it was called exactly, but it was really good. It was like fruity, but also it also had that full-bodied IPA flavor and intensity. It was good.
Very
Are you drinking anything today? Thank you.
I have an old cup that's empty, but no, I'm not drinking anything.
I have an old cup.
An old cup. So technically, I do have a container that a beverage. You know what? Here we go. A rip-roaring surge from 1990, whenever they brought it back, 2000 something.
One day, either on DPW or here, we have to have a special episode where you crack that shit open.
When I got that originally, we had 2 of them, and I did that, I think, on an episode of DPW. It's like 4 years expired now. I don't want to open that, but yeah. I got it fresh, and boy, did I forget how fucking nasty Surge was.
Oh, really? I don't think I ever had it.
It was just sugar and caffeine and awful flavoring and probably food coloring. It was like if Mountain Dew, like somebody pissed in Mountain Dew and then electrocuted it.
Damn.
Yeah.
That sounds delicious. Well,
wonderful.
I'm your host, Bryce Yoli, and I'm here with my pal and cousin-in-law and more eloquent co-host, Caleb James. Here in the Arcade Cafe lies a mosquito-sized answer to the full-length feature of Arcade Bookshop. We bring you our current thoughts on our video game progress, book progress, a little bit of video game news that's probably already a little old, occasional state of the podcast info, our wants, our needs, our private thoughts, our deepest, darkest secrets, and the sweet nothings that Caleb whispers in the bedroom, of course. Of course. Wow. Ruin that last word.
Good job.
But let's get down to business.
Let's get to brass tacks. The thing I heard them say in the movies once.
Yeah. And I said that like 2 episodes ago.
Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. What do I know?
I did. Well, before we officially start today, I just wanted to front load this because it's the last time I'm going to be announcing this. But I just want to remind everybody that I'll be at the Arcade Bookshop table at the Rivers Comicon here in Pittsburgh this weekend, June 1st and 2nd. And I'll have a little lapel mic to record anyone who wants to have their voice featured on a future episode. I'm not sure what I'll be asking you to say yet, but if you want to come on by and have yourself on the show, I'll edit you in somehow in some way whenever I decide what it is I want you to say and why I want you to be on here. And anyway, you can stop by the table and
you get plenty of time to come up with that. You have like a whole 2.5 days.
Yeah, like that's plenty. So I'll also be selling stickers there, and I'll have business cards and blah blah blah. But I just wanted to. I'll be peddling my pre-orders for my poetry chat book too. I have little
people
postcards.
Love buying stuff that's not actually there. They're gonna go crazy for. They're gonna clamor for that.
I know. I figured it was ideal that I don't actually have my book, so it's like I just get to say this is better than the book. This is the idea of the book. And you don't even know if it's real or not.
You make them buy that book.
Exactly. So just want to throw that out there before we head in here, but let's get going. Let's talk video game stuff. You ready?
Sure thing, buddy.
I don't know if you looked into it at all.
No, I did not.
But you don't even know what I'm going to say yet.
You're going to say a bunch of nothing. If it's anything to do with Final Fantasy, I'm just leaving.
Okay. That's okay. That's fair. So this happened like a little over a week ago, I think, maybe 2 weeks. I'm not sure. We were going to talk about it on last week's episode, but then the schedule got messed up and I had to be alone here last week. So I wanted to save it because it's an actual topic of conversation. And for anyone who's wondering, you're probably not, but my wife is fine, and the brakes were just rotted out somehow. They just faulty, whatever from Hyundai.
Hyundai. Hyundai.
Um. So Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Yep.
There is. You didn't look into it at all?
I did not. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah. So they just announced Assassin's Creed Shadows, the next biggest Assassin's Creed game, and it looks all right, but there is contention around the protagonist of the game.
I hope it's a black guy.
It is a black guy.
Set in Africa, right? Because that makes sense.
That would make sense. That would make sense, wouldn't it? It's set in feudal Japan, and we're playing as a black guy. And yeah, I'm curious what your thoughts are because, I mean, knowing virtually nothing about Assassin's Creed, I assume, correct?
I played some of them.
Okay, so you know, like, basically what they are.
It's historical fiction, basically.
Right. So people are annoyed because it's like the first time that Assassin's Creed is allowing us to play
Go to the Orient.
in feudal Japan, but we're playing as an African American. Well, not American, obviously, but an African man. Who is also a samurai. So understandably, there's some weird attention around that. But what do you think about that? Because they also say that the guy that you play as is based on a real life guy.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. That was actually a pretty cool story. The origins of this character, at least the real version, was a black samurai. It was a real thing, and it's fucking cool. It stands out. There's a million samurai stories. Why can't we have a black samurai?
Right. So, like, I was thinking about it, and I get it. I get, like, other people's points, like, why they're frustrated about it. But at the same time, how can you say it's disrespectful or even racist if it's based on a real person and a real idea? That, and we just got a few, at least two half decent. I haven't played them, so I'm not going to. Generally, people are saying that these games are great, that are based in feudal Japan. Ghost of Tsushima and Rise of the Ronin. I think they're both feudal Japan. So we just got these fantastic games.
We can't have the same fucking story, but we can't just have just another actual Japanese samurai. You just had two.
Yeah.
We don't need another one. We can switch it up a little.
And it'd be one thing if it was like, you know what? Let's not be the same as everyone else and have a Japanese samurai. Let's just make up this black character and stick him in a samurai outfit and give him a sword. It'd be one thing if they just made him up and it was just weird like that, like uncomfortable. Why'd they do this?
I mean, at least it wasn't like a crazy lesbian or something.
Yeah,
doing that.
Yeah, where it makes no sense.
The Disney method, throw a woman in and make her lame and gay. You didn't do that.
Just a flat character for the sake of appealing to the masses.
Didn't they? It was actually the last one I played. I forget the name of it, but it was the one that was set in colonial time America, and I think the character's name was Connor. But there was contention because he was supposed to be a Native American character, but in the game, I think he was half white, so he was mixed. And I think people were offended by that idea. Why can't we just have a regular Native American? Why does he have to be mixed with something? I don't know. Maybe it adds nuance to the character and, has some cool stuff. Like now he has a conflicted backstory because he's dealing with colonialism, but he's also part colonial. We don't like to think that. We just want straight one. You're one thing and that's what you are. But apparently you can't be straight African in a samurai because people get offended for some reason.
Yeah.
He's still
That
African.
sounds
That's not changed at all. He's just
that
a samurai.
and that whole idea that they'll like you got to be one thing. It sounds oddly Voldemort-esque. Wouldn't you
Yeah.
agree?
Yeah.
So everybody, why don't you chill out?
Chill out. Just relax. Play the game. Have fun.
And like the other thing is that this is as far as I've thought about it. But the other thing is, in my opinion, Assassin's Creed has always like the whole idea is to be shocking, you know, to like kind of be woke, I guess.
Yeah.
Not necessarily woke, but it's like throwing it out there that people have always had progressive ideas no matter what the era was. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like that's always been the point. There's always been conspiracy, there's always been progressive uh characters in history. There has always been like unique situations. So it shouldn't even be a surprise that they would choose to do that instead of just go the straight and narrow route, you know?
You know what Assassin's Creed game I want to play?
Hmm.
World War I setting, because that's over 100 years old now. And you know what the twist is? Your character's one of the Contra guys. And he just has fucking laser guns.
I feel like we haven't talked about that in a while.
That would be badass though. Like, you know, you got a bunch of cavalry on fucking horses and shit, and then all of a sudden you got Contra guy coming in just because they might have had machine guns in World War One, but they're real shitty if they did.
They had they had yeah. Yeah. That's right.
You just said, yeah, that didn't answer if they had it or not, so I'll look it up.
No, they had like I know they had some kind of like automatic weapons. I think that was when
They had very shitty looking rifles. They were capable, I guess, of being machine guns, but they look pretty terrible. Yeah, they were machine guns,
yeah, I was
but
gonna say I thought
some of
World
them
War
almost look
II
like
was when that.
cannons. Yeah, they don't
Yeah,
fucking those things are blowing up in your face. Those weren't
yeah,
working, and they're not lasers, so didn't have
yeah.
lasers.
As far as we know, like we weren't alive back then, so
You know how you end this Assassin's Creed game? You shoot Hitler in the face 4,000 times before he's ever able to become Hitler. When he was just some sad fucking art student, or well, I think he was in World War
yeah,
One. He got his nad blown off, so you could be the guy who blows his nad off,
yeah.
and then you cause World War II. How about that?
Go way back and just like really, really praise his art. You know, just make him a good guy.
Can you make him a good guy? It's the syphilis, I think, that sent him down the wrong path because his brain was rotted.
Is that
Same thing
true?
happened to Al Capone too.
Really?
Yeah, because syphilis back then didn't have a cure, so it just run rampant and eats holes in your brain, and then you go fucking cuckoo bananas. He was also on a shitload of speed. Hitler, I don't know about Capone.
Oh shit.
Capone was kind of
Well,
fat, so I don't think he was on meth, but Hitler was. There's video of him at the Olympics when he was just all like, he's grinding his teeth and he's fucking rocking, and yeah, check that out. It's funny.
well, damn. This is all news to me.
Hot Rod Hitler, they called him. They didn't, but I
Fuck.
did.
All right. Well, I have another awesome piece of news here, though.
A word.
You're gonna love this. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it so much. There's a rumor about a video game that's being remade, and it is Final Fantasy IX. My favorite. Put your headphones back on.
You are a fucker in the face of fuckers. You are a turd, is what you are. You are a
It's
turd
my
sandwich.
favorite. It's my favorite. I love it. I literally, and for some reason the other day, one of the songs in the game just popped into my head, and I was like, "Oh, that's nice." Because I don't listen to music anymore, so every once in a while a video game song just pops into my head, and I'm like, "Oh, that's nice to have in there."
Why don't you listen to music
So
anymore?
I listen to podcasts all the time. I just never, I don't know, never do. But
Pretty soon you're gonna be smoking meats, and then you're just gonna go full white guy. Smoking
I've been
meats, listen to
grilling
the
a lot.
podcast, and you okay? Well, you're almost there. Then I guess all you really need now is to like, you know what? I don't want to talk about this anymore. Just move on.
Okay. Well, anyway, it's rumored to be true, and I'm really excited about it. So hopefully that goes well. What are we playing? I have been playing Fear and Hunger, but I also just last night started to pick up Slay the Spire again
It's
to
not
like
the right game.
first time really getting into it, and I love it. I just like that there's no investment, but it's also complicated.
Why do you play these games that I don't want to ever talk about? Can't you play a
I
cool
don't.
game like Fear and Hunger?
I am playing Fear and Hunger. The thing with Fear and Hunger is I have to play it on my laptop, and that's
Are
like the
you playing
biggest
it or
thing
are
for
you
me.
just dying over and over? That's not playing it. That's
Oh,
losing.
I'm dying over and over again. I'm gonna use a walkthrough because I can't fucking figure this
Just
out, and I
cheat.
don't want to
Please
spend.
cheat.
I'm going to because I can't take sitting here at my laptop playing a game. I just it's not enjoyable to me, and I
I hooked
hate
mine
playing.
up to my TV.
Well, that's too much work for me. But I might start using the controller because I can't stand using my keyboard. It's
I
driving me
played
nuts.
that
And
whole
like,
game on the keyboard, and then I remembered, "Oh, I do have a controller, maybe that'll work," and then I played the
yeah,
second one I'm playing with the
my
controller.
issue is that my D-pad on my laptop, the up and down arrows are like short. They're like half the size of they're not like the full square. It's like a
You're
rectangle.
mashing them and fucking up and getting
So
killed
yeah,
even
it's
worse.
screwing me over, and it's just
And that's a
really
game where you
uncomfortable.
need to be
Oops,
fast with the fingers because you have to run a lot away from
I
monsters
know.
and mostly butt raping monsters, which is even worse.
And yeah, and and for how often you have to like inspect barrels and shit to get items like constantly, it's
Yeah.
such a pain to use my keyboard just is not built for playing a game. It's just not good. But I like it, and I would like see the thing with Fear and Hunger is that I wish I had no other life outside of just playing video games and doing this podcast and writing
It's
so
a lot
that I
easier
could
when you could just
just
devote hours and hours and days of time to that game.
yeah, because it's the kind of thing where it's like I would love to just sink into this and do nothing else and then just figure it all out, but I don't have the time because there's other games that I probably still won't do it, but that I'm more interested in doing that. Um, but yeah, so I have to just cheat.
The element of luck in that game's a real motherfucker because
Yeah.
you can play it and, once you know where you're supposed to go and you learn everything, you figure everything out, you get your characters where they need to be. You could do everything right, but still you need luck. Like, "Oh, I got a fucking bad barrel and I didn't get the right, whatever I needed." Or worse, "Oh, I'm gonna sleep and I'm gonna save. Oh no, I lost the heads or tails," which people don't know what I'm talking about, but sometimes you have to flip a coin, and if it's the wrong side, you just get fucking murder monstered, like, in the night, and you just never get to save, and that's on easy mode. Once you get to hard mode, I don't even think you can save.
And something else that requires a lot of luck is Slay the Spire. But
I don't even like the name. I don't like the
yeah,
name. I don't like you talking about it.
it's fun though. But
Sounds
we're
dumb.
gonna have a full episode on Fear Hunger, so let's not talk too much about it. Let's just settle on the fact that it's a really cool game and it's really fucking hard.
And kind of
And
graphic for being
yeah.
not graphic.
And
Like, that's, understandable.
you'll hear a lot more about it come Halloween. So what are
Yeah.
you playing, Caleb? You finished the messenger.
I was playing Fear and Hunger Termina, but lately I have not been playing anything at all.
Okay.
I just haven't had
All
time. I've
right.
been really, really busy. I haven't even been writing, which is terrible.
Yeah, I've been trying to do that, but it's been hard. You want to talk about writing in books?
Sure. I got this yesterday. In
Hmm.
oh, oh, wait.
Ethereal Nightmares,
Who is that at number 2?
featuring Caleb James K. right under William Faulkner.
Yeah, William Faulkner's in this. I have the longest story in this too, which is cool.
That's fantastic.
Fantastic. There we go. My I don't know if it sounded weird to you, but my audio dropped off and I looked and I
Your
had no numbers or anything.
your volume seemed okay, but you were clicking a little bit.
Clickety clickety clack.
But it's good now.
My
But
mixer is shitting the bed, so I don't know if that ever goes. I guess I'm just out of luck and no more podcasting for me.
you'll be all right. You'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Ethereal Nightmares. Oh, I had they published on their online journal version of the publisher that's putting my book out. They published a poem from my book, so you can
Ugh.
find that. It's called the Paddock Review, Paddock. and it's my poem called Chemtrails. It's not as conspiratorial as you might think. It's just kind of a metaphor. But so that's out there. I don't think I have anything else right now. However, I have to go on to a diatribe. So I rescind my invitation to Spencer to come on this show and talk about Stephen King in the future.
Oh, Jesus. Here we go. All right, go on. Go on. Let's have it.
So I don't believe, for everyone who doesn't know, Spencer was on DPW with Caleb, and he was chastising me. And it's funny because Spencer's listening to this right now. He was chastising me for what I said last week about how Stephen King can't write women, blah, blah, blah. Thing is, I don't think I said Stephen King. I'm doing quotes with my fingers right now for you in the listening to audio only. I don't believe I said Stephen King can't write women. I mean, if I did, sorry, that's not exactly what I meant. I think what I meant to say was I vary in my reading choices, so I haven't read every single thing that Stephen King's ever written. And I grant that he's really good, and sometimes he writes complex and interesting and entertaining women characters, for sure. However, I still say they are 9 times out of 10 like genre style characters that come off a little bit stiff. Like they're there to serve a purpose rather than
let's slow down a minute.
Okay.
I've had some comments on Facebook that also say you suck ass about that opinion. That's neither here nor there. What Stephen King works have you read that have brought this about?
Well,
what has fostered this opinion?
Specifically, well, I will say I never thought about it until I heard it from Vicola, so I'm sure you were aware of that. Mm-hmm. However, when he said that, I was like, oh yeah, you're right, because since being in college and then going back and trying to read Stephen King stuff, it doesn't read the same. So when you read a lot of Stephen King and a lot of genre style stuff, that stuff's all really entertaining. But when you get contrasting reading experiences like Martin O'Kyan and other like more highbrow literature, you just read people that do it well. And so I'm not saying I don't enjoy Stephen King stories, because I do, and he's still one of my favorite things to read for fun. And I do agree that I think The Shining is like literature. So he can do it. So I'm not saying he can't do it, because I think that book is fantastic. And like you said in the show, I think, yeah, Wendy is a great character. And she's not good in the Stanley Kubrick movie at all. But some of the other characters you mentioned, I think even especially, the ones that you mentioned from The Stand and from The Dark Tower.
And just a note, I am neutral on this because I have not read The Stand or The Dark Tower or on that episode of DPW, which is, I guess, if they air into this week's episode. So I have limited Stephen King women characters I've read. So I'm not a great judge, but in the episode I tell what I believe were great characters from my experiences, but a lot of them came from the movie, so that's a little different.
Yeah. So I guess I'm like distinguishing between characters that I like and that are fun and characters that are well written. So it's like, I think Wendy is well written. I think Mother Abigail in The Stand is fun, and you want to hear more about her and what she does for the story. Same with the woman that you were talking about, and I think there were multiple, or I don't know, Susanna in The Dark Tower. Fun. But it's also awkward the way I think it's awkward the way he writes, because those are both black women. I think it's awkward the way he writes them. It just sounds like he sounds like he's trying to write in a black voice. And I guess
Ooh, yeah.
you kind of mentioned also that he's a little bit dated in that way. Like I think you said that.
Yeah, I think, the article we covered and stuff talked about how that hasn't aged that well.
Yeah. So there's stuff like that, and even I don't know. Even when I read The Stand, I read that like 5 years ago. That a lot of the characters in that I felt weren't weren't that great. So it's kind of funny. That's like one of his most popular books. It didn't
Mm.
hit me like it hits a lot of people. I liked it, but it did not hit me anywhere close to how The Shining hit me. So like, I just so yeah, there are some women characters he doesn't do that well. There's also a lot of just characters he doesn't do that well.
That might
But
be a fair assessment. Like, I haven't read enough of his work to be able to judge. It just so happens most of the work of his I've read were, some of his best. So I haven't read
yeah,
like with the Langoliers or whatever, fucking or even Cujo or shit like that. So I can't really judge on that merit because I've mainly just read his best works
yeah.
and a few poopier ones like Elevation.
So maybe to modify my statement, I would say his I think he's always going to be better at writing men because he's a man and he's from the time he's from. But he's also always going to have work in general that is hit or miss, and especially because he's so prolific. But my main point, talking before, is that Martino Cyan is excellent at writing women and Stephen King doesn't even come close.
I would say that's a fair assessment too,
So
because Martin O'Kyan was excellent. My
yeah,
opinion, the greatest Irish writer of all time. That's actually an Irish writer, not like a
right.
James Joyce or a Samuel Beckett, where oh yeah, we're Irish, but we write English.
So yeah, I guess I'll leave it there because I still like Stephen King and I still plan to read more. I just it's just I
You're more of a
mean,
Dean Koontz guy, huh? You love a
never read
Koontz.
Dean Koontz.
You're a big Koontzy, like the
Never
Koontz.
read Dean Koontz,
You look
but
like you'd be a Koontz guy.
you know what was one of my favorite Stephen King books though? And it
Hmm.
wasn't even really a horror or like a spooky one. Hearts in Atlantis.
I've not read that one. I heard it was good.
Yeah, I don't know like I read that in I think I was still in high school, maybe early college or something. So I don't know how that'll translate to me and my being an adult, but and having read a lot more.
I do find that Stephen I found this with Haruki Murakami as well. The older I get, the less I care for Stephen King's work. Like, I'm still not at the point where like, "Oh, I'm not enjoying this or anything." I just like you said, more fun, more of
Yeah,
escapism, more entertainment. But that also probably has to do with the fact that every year I read more denser literature and things that you really have to contemplate. So when you go to stuff like it's almost like how now I barely read comics anymore because I can't get the same out of them. I don't know. It's not that I don't want to read them. It's just I don't get
yeah.
the same joy I used to get out of them even 5 years ago. I don't know if I'm just becoming a literary snob or if fucking Tolkien Silmarillion ruined me on being able to read normal fiction anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, that's part of it too. Anyway, I was joking about rescinding my invitation to Spencer to come on the show, but
I'm gonna
just
tell
wanted to
him you
be a
doubled
dickhead.
down and said he's a big fuck face. That's what I'm gonna tell him.
Yeah. Yeah, you're a big fuck face, Spencer.
Wow, when I edit this, when
When
I
when
take that
you edit
clip and
this.
edit yeah, when I take that clip and edit it, and that's the only clip I release on Instagram is "You're a big fuck face, Spencer." You forget I got the email,
Let's not
Arcade
give everyone
Bookshop
the
email. I'll get in there. I'll do it.
let's not give everyone the impression that you run the Instagram even for a second.
I will lock you out for a day, and I will post horrible shit, and then because everyone knows you run it, they'll think you're the douche. That probably
All
the
right.
we'll probably get the most attention if I did that. We'd probably get super popular. Probably with the wrong
Okay.
crowd, but we'd get a big audience.
Well, I had another topic, but we're at time, so I'll save it for next week.
Time limit.
Oh, are you reading anything new?
I'm still reading Player Piano.
Oh,
like
cool.
halfway through.
Yeah, I finally finished the first story in that Yukio Mishima book.
Man, you read slow.
I know. I also last night I just let myself sit and play video games.
No, you let yourself play the deck game, the fucking Spire and shit.
Play the Spire. It's very popular, Caleb. A lot of people enjoy it, and I'm not alone in that.
Dude, so you know what? You're not alone. There's a lot of people that are into things that suck ass. It doesn't mean it's cool. Just because there's a crowd that likes it doesn't make it cool.
I'm not saying I'm cool. I'm saying
a lot of people like smelling their own farts. That doesn't make it, tubular.
They smell better to the owner.
Usually. I would hope.
Yeah. Well, that's where I am. Okay. Are you ready to leave?
Yeah, make sure, folks, you order Ethereal Nightmares, an anthology of twisted tales. I wish I was on last week's episode because that weekend there was a free Kindle download. People could have just got. I downloaded it for free just so I could check it out before I got all my books in. But check it out, people, because it looks like there's some rad stories. I was looking at the author bios, and there's actually some esteemed. Like, I'm in a good group here. I'm with people that are actually publishing things worthwhile. So nice. I need to step my game up now that I'm gonna get some eyes on me, maybe.
How's the formatting?
The formatting is A-okay. Are you talking about the fact that it's an English publication? They did change my dial or everything. They changed my spelling and grammar to the English style, which is weird. So like favorable has a U. The quotations are only just, the one like apostrophe or whatever instead of the two quotations. But so far it's okay. I don't mind it. I actually read my story yesterday, all 34 pages, and nothing was fucked up. Everything seemed all right. There was a few word choice changes, and they seemed to be better. Only one instance where I did not care for it, and I don't even know if it was a change or if that was me that did that, and I just don't remember. Because I wrote that story a long time ago.
Yeah. Cool. I'm excited to see it. All right. I've got nothing, so if you haven't already, everybody, check out our most recent episode of Arcade Bookshop. We covered the wonderful video game Sea of Stars by Sabotage Studios.
Excellent.
Stay tuned Monday, June 3rd for a brand new episode of Arcade Bookshop because Sea of Stars reminded us of a famous and highly masterful manga called Vagabond by Takehiko Inoue. And I'm never going to say that completely correctly. And lastly, stay tuned next Friday, June 7th, for another edition of this show, Arcade Cafe, where Caleb... Oh, never mind. That was from last week.
Okay.
Where Caleb and I will be back. Thank you, everybody, for listening. You've just spent some time in the Arcade Cafe, and we hope you enjoyed yourself.
Wait. Can we change the ending to, and you just been served? Because it's a cafe.
No.
You just been served.
I think that sounds a little too
aggressive,
litigious.
You've been served. What from a movie from 2000? Like, who gives a fuck? You just been served.
or just it just sounds
saying that.
Yeah. All right, go ahead. I'm Bryce Yoli, my pal and cousin-in-law Caleb James.
Adios, mis amigos.
We will see you next week.
Hasta luego.